right. And before we go into our next segment, I just want to talk about what the next giveaway is going to be. We are going to be doing a mesh fabric along with a Sewing Parts Online gift card of $30. And you'll see why both of these are going to come in handy after we bring Kelsey up and she shows you what she's making today. So is Kelsey ready to come up today?
I believe she is, but I just want to remind you that also part of the giveaway is that what Kelsey makes live during the stream is going to be included, which is pretty special.
So that's pretty special. If you didn't hear Brian, he had mentioned that in addition to the gift card and the mesh fabric, you're also going to be getting what Kelsey is making today. So that's extra fun. All right, well, let's go ahead and bring Kelsey up as soon as she is ready. Hello, Kelsey, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I am doing very well. It feels like it's been forever since I've seen you. I've been off TikTok.
Oh, I have too, actually. I've been busy with other things, so I haven't posted very much lately, but.
Aw, well, how are things in your world? Are you doing lots of projects or just what's keeping you busy?
My cat got hurt, so he had to have his leg amputated.
That would do it. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he's okay, but it kind of threw a wrench into all of my crafting, but.
That makes sense. Well, I am sorry to hear that, but hopefully making some projects today will bring a little joy, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. Well, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be making first?
Yes. Okay. So I am Kelsey. I do videos on TikTok and I just started a YouTube page. It's Kelsey Crafts. And I do lots of different crafts. My little bio says I'm a craftaholic who dabbles in lots of different things because it's pretty true. So today I am going to teach you how to make Beeswax Food-Wraps, which is an alternative to plastic wrap. And then I'm going to teach you how to make a reusable kitchen sponge. So cuts down on, you know, single use or disposable sponges. So
sounds good. All right, well, I'll let you get into your first project. If you need me to pop on or anything, just let me know when you need to switch things around.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what a beeswax food wrap does first. These are some that I have made previously, and it's just a piece of fabric, 100% cotton, mixed with pine rosin, beeswax, and jojoba oil. And you coat it in it, and then you warm it up in your hand. This one is very sticky. And then once you warm it up, it kind of melts just a little bit and gets sticky. You can kind of hear the stickiness. And one of my favorite things to do with these when I demonstrate them is to take a glass with water, and then you warm this up and you put it over the top. It kind of reminds me of like press and seal from like saran wrap. And you just push it on, and then it doesn't leak at all. There's no water on the edge there, and it keeps it nice and sealed. So if I have something like, especially in a mason jar and I don't have a lid, this is great for that. I also put my kids' sandwiches in them for lunch, or like apple slices, because you can fold this into a little bit of a bag. I'll show you that really quick, and then I'll show you how to make them. But you do the same thing. You just warm it up in your hands. And then how I do it, there's lots of different ways you can do it, but I fold it in half. And then I take the one side and I fold it over once like that, and then twice again to seal it off. And then you just pinch it closed, and then do the same thing to this other side. And then you have a little bag, and then when you fill it, you can do the same thing, just fold it over and pinch it to create a seal. And it makes, like, I sent apple slices with my kids, and I didn't do anything to them to keep them from going brown or anything. I just put them in here, and my kids said they were great at lunch. They ate them all, so I didn't see what they looked like when they got home, but it keeps stuff fresh. I've put it on my cheese to keep it fresh in the fridge. And it works really well for that kind of thing. And then to clean them, you just use cold water and dish soap. Don't use hot water because it can melt the stuff off. But that is what a beeswax wrap is. Now let's make one. So I take 100% cotton fabric. You don't want to use anything with synthetics in it because it can melt and that would not be fun. So I have these two fabrics from Moda Fabrics and I am in love with them. And I cut these, you can cut them any size you want. I like 9 by 9 for just kind of everyday things. So I cut mine 9 inches by 9 inches, and let me show you. I cut it so that it has kind of a wavy edge with my pinking blade rotary cutter. That just helps it not fray because, as we all know, cotton fabric really likes to do that. So I pre-washed this and ironed it and then cut it with the pinking rotary cutter. And then for the mixture, let me kind of bring you over here a little bit. The mixture is beeswax, pine rosin, and jojoba oil. You need 1 cup of beeswax, and I'll show you the one that I have been using. It is organic white beeswax. Got all of these on Amazon. It's really not that expensive. So beeswax, and then pine rosin. This is the one that I use, and you want it to be ground up because otherwise you're going to have a mess on your hands. And then jojoba oil. There we go. You need 1 cup of beeswax and a 1/2 cup of pine rosin and 2 tablespoons of jojoba oil. Now, something I have found is you don't want to dump the whole 1/2 cup of pine rosin in at the same time because it just clumps and doesn't melt into the beeswax. So I do it by the tablespoon, and that is 8 tablespoons. So do 1 tablespoon at a time, mix it up really good, make sure it's melted. I have it on a kind of double boiler situation. So this pot right here has water down in the bottom of it, and then I just have my glass bowl on top. And you want to be careful because steam can come out the sides. So be really careful that you don't burn yourself. It's not fun. So you get it all mixed down, and then I use a foam roller, just a paint roller, to spread it onto my fabric. And then I also have, this is my kind of just made it up as I went along. I have my pancake griddle on warm. You don't need it any hotter than that. And then I just bought this pan at the dollar store because it fits in my griddle. And then it keeps the wax contained and not all over my griddle. So I put the pan on there, turn it on warm, let it heat up, and then I just take my fabric and I lay it out, and I grab the roller with stuff on it, and then you just roll it on. And you want it coated but not super heavily. So just spread it out. That's making a fun noise. Spread it out just like that. Make sure it's just evenly coated, and the hot plate under, or the griddle underneath, just helps it stay melted so you can spread it out. And then you just pick it up, and I kind of wave it just a little bit, and then to kind of dry it a little bit. And then I have a cooling rack for like baking that I just set it on to let it cool. So I'm gonna put it over here. So it's just on a cooling rack, and it doesn't take that long to cool. I do like to make sure, like I like to let them sit overnight before I really use them so that stuff can just dry really good and kind of incorporate into the fabric. I found that that makes them work a lot better. But I'll show you that again. Same thing, you just put your fabric on your little hot plate, grab your mixture on your roller, and then just roll it onto the fabric. And it takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out for you which, how the best way to get it fully saturated is, but it's really pretty easy. And then you just pick it up, wave it just a little bit to dry it, and then I put it over here. And now this other one, I can show you it's dried and stiff. I'm not going to scrunch it yet because it's still warm. But this one is done. You just let it sit overnight and you're ready to use it. Let me do this other one because I just love this fabric. I just thought that was so pretty. So once again, I just make sure that my roller is loaded up, and then I kind of tap it on the side so that it doesn't drip all over my counter. And then just roll it on.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Maggie's asking, is that a foam roller?
Yes, it is. It is just, where did I put? I have the package. It's just a foam roller from like Home Depot or Walmart or anywhere that sells foam rollers. Just like for painting.
Perfect. Do you have a recommendation for those that are allergic to the pine rosin?
I have been asked that question and I don't know of any alternatives, but there might be some. I've seen people post about it online, that they're allergic to pine rosin, and I do have a video on my TikTok of how to make these, and there were questions like that, and I think some people have answered. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but you could go check that out, or a Google search might help. Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. Brian said he's going to do some research and see if he can find anything as well.
Okay.
Joe is asking, does the pine rosin have an odor?
I have not noticed much of one, maybe a little bit, but I haven't noticed it transfer to the food at all that I've covered with them. Let me see. I'll smell it now and
Yeah, give it a sniff.
There's like a little bit of an odor, but it's not bad. It's like pretty minimal. So I hope that answers your question.
It sure does. The other one is, what is your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Kelsey Crafts.
Perfect.
It's all pretty much the same everywhere. At least I try to make it.
It's nice when you can do that. You have to change it up in sometimes. So
yeah.
Michael is asking, how many pieces of fabric will the solution coat?
It depends on how much you put on and how big your fabric is. For these ones, I have found it makes, I want to say 20-ish 9x9
oh, that's awesome.
wraps, give or take, but around 20 is about what I have found.
Very cool. And I have to just give Michael a shout out. He is a follower of ours on Facebook and he's always commenting. So thank you, Michael. And thanks for joining us. Let's see. I think we've got another question here if you are fine with answering a few more. We've got, are you rolling it onto the wrong side of the fabric, not the pretty side? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter because it's going to soak all the way through. So you can roll it onto either side. And I've done it with a couple of pieces on at the same time. I think I've done, not on this pan, but I had a bigger pan that I could do, I think just 2, maybe 3 on. And you just kind of stagger them a little bit and roll it on, and it melts all the way down through it. And I didn't have any issues with it not coating enough. So you can do it in faster batches than just one at a time if you want to as well.
Very cool. I see one more. You did touch on this, but just in case anybody's just hopping on, does the beeswax wraps absorb the odor of the product that you're wrapping it in?
Not that I have noticed. I've wrapped different kinds of cheeses. I've wrapped sandwiches. I put it over a can that I wasn't finished with, and I didn't notice any odors from those foods after I washed them. Obviously, just get a scrubby brush and some dish soap and some cold water, and then I didn't have any odors after that.
Speaking of washing, do you wash the fabric before making these?
Yes. You don't have to, but I like to, just so that I know that it's clean and any manufacturing starches or gunk is out of it before I put my food into it.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions for now. I'll let you keep going.
Awesome. Okay. So I think that's it for beeswax wraps. If anyone has any other questions, I can answer them at the end, or you can hurry and write them now. But
I actually just I was able to hold on. Got to turn on the mic. So I was able to find some information on Google about pine rosin. So you can actually make them without it. They just don't hold their shape as well. So you would have to use like rubber bands or something. But if somebody has an allergy or something, I feel like that's not a bad compromise.
Yeah, that's a good alternative.
yeah, the pine rosin helps make it sticky. And then the jojoba oil helps it stay flexible so that the pine rosin doesn't just harden up to a brick. So that's why we put all those things in there. I should have said that before. Sorry. But this is still my favorite way to display these, is to put water in and shake it and nothing comes out.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. When you did it right away, I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a magic trick.
It is a magic trick.
I am magic. Just kidding. But yeah, so that is that. I'm gonna get transferred over to my machine so that I can do the sponges. So if you have something you want to fill the time with.
I sure can.
Okay.
All right, well, we will let her get all set up. We actually still have a couple of questions from the last segment, or this one was a statement. I love the Baby Lock Verve. However, I would love to make larger designs. So the Verve is a great little machine. It is actually now discontinued, but the Aurora is the replacement, I believe. But the Flare is an awesome option if you're looking to make larger designs, I believe. Let me make sure I'm telling you correctly. Yeah, it has the 6x10 embroiderable area, so you get a much larger space. So that is awesome. The other comment we had was, I love my Baby Lock Soprano machine. Had it for 3 years, a workhorse. You probably heard me say a couple of times now that Brian and I just got back from some Baby Lock training, and we were looking at the Soprano there. And the general consensus about the Soprano is it's an awesome machine. Plus the fact that it comes with the extension table and all those presser feet and has that pivot function and the fabric sensor. It's just a really, really awesome machine. So just a reminder, guys, we are offering special event pricing on other machines as well. So if you have not seen a machine that you've been looking at and you're just really, really wanting to get some good pricing on it, give our customer service a call and they will get you hooked up. We are going to extend the special event pricing to all machines. We just have no way to show them all during this event. Same thing goes for the furniture. If you're looking at a specific piece of furniture and it just hasn't been displayed, give us a call. We're super happy to help you out there. I'm just gonna,
I have something to say really quickly.
Sure.
So I've been asked to remind everybody for the giveaways. So we use an outside giveaway tool that collects all of your comments. And then when I press go, it raffles everybody who's entered the surprise word. You just have to enter the surprise word once, and you'll get entered. However, there are a lot of people that enter the giveaways, and the tool is only able to show a certain amount of names while it raffles it off. So, for example, right now, 119 people have entered the giveaway. But while it's raffling, it might only be able to show 30 to 40 people's names, but all 119 people are in the giveaway raffle. So if you don't see your name while it's going off, it doesn't mean that you're not in it. You're still in it. Just wanted to let everybody know.
Thank you, Brian. All right. The other thing that I wanted to remind you of. Oh, she's back. We'll remind you later.
Okay.
All right, Kelsey.
So this is what my kitchen sponges look like. This is one that is in the giveaway for today. So if you win the giveaway for my segment, you get two of these. And what you need is cotton fabric, some batting. This is the Wrap and Zap 100% natural cotton batting. This is also really good for if you want to make microwavable bowl cozies or like potato cooking bags in the microwave. This is safe to use in the microwave. And then you also need some mesh fabric. I'm using By Annie's lightweight mesh fabric, and this one is the color Pewter. So you need 5 inches or 5 by 5 inches of fabric, 2 pieces of cotton fabric cut 5 by 5 inches. So let's cut that right now. I'm just going to square this up a little bit. Okay, here we go. And both of the projects that I've done today are from one fat quarter, and I can probably get 2 sets of sponges. Sorry, 2 sets of sponges from this, and I cut out 2 beeswax wraps from one fat quarter, just to give you an idea of how far it goes. That. Okay. So here is the fabric, 2 pieces. And then you need 3 layers of the cotton batting, cut 5 by 5 as well. So I am just going to fold that one over a little bit. And if it's not perfect, that's okay, because you are going to trim it up a little bit anyway.
While you're doing that, Kelsey, I'm just going to answer this question. Brenda is asking, oh, that's the wrong one. We'll do that too. Yeah, she just said the
discontinued because
yeah. Yeah. She said, love the fabric that you're using. Unfortunately, it is now discontinued. We sold out of it. So Brenda, I'm sorry, we can't help you with that, but we have a lot of different options for you.
We still have plenty of Moda fat quarter bundles.
Yeah, there are lots of Moda fat quarter bundles. We have a lot of fun fabric. The other one that I was trying to click on is, does SPO sell the batting? We sure do. See, Lombard, we have a lot of different options. And also, I was explaining yesterday that in a future SewCreative Live event, we are going to have Hobbs Batting join us. So that's going to be a really, really fun segment. But sorry, Kelsey, I'll let you get back to it.
Oh, you're good. So once you get your 3 layers of batting cut, you need 1 layer of mesh. Now, I find it way easier when I'm turning it right side out to cut the mesh bigger than the other pieces. So I cut mine 6 inches by 6 inches. It just gives you a little bit more to hang on to when you are turning it right side out and sewing it down. So that's why I do that. Okay, so you have your mesh, your batting, and your 2 pieces of fabric. So let's move. Well, actually right here, I'm going to show you how we put it together first. So you're going to take your 3 pieces of batting and set them down. You're going to take 1 layer of your fabric, lay it down right side up, take your mesh and lay that over it, and then take your other layer of fabric and lay it right side down. And then I'm going to pin it down, and I usually just do 1 on every side. And then when you sew it down, you want to leave an opening on one of the sides. It doesn't matter which side, but you know, leave an opening maybe like this big so that you can turn it right side out. So let's come over to the machine. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Maybe. Okay. Let me know if that is not working very well for you guys.
Looks good.
Okay. So I use a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the edges just so that I know that it's getting a really good, it's getting all the fabric and making sure everything is nice and sewn down. So and I also back stitch on in the opening so that when I turn it, those stitches don't come out. Okay. So now you should have something that looks like this with an opening in the top. You're going to take some scissors and we're going to trim the sides here. We're going to leave this part long, but trim the sides and clip the corners so that when you turn it right side out, those corners don't get too bulky. And this is where it doesn't really matter if your batting is a little bit bigger than the rest of your fabric, if that ends up happening, because you can just trim it right here like this. And then I just trim there and there. Okay. So now it looks like that. And then I have this, I can't remember what this is called. I know Trisha knows. But this works really well to turn out the corners of a project that you're working on. So when I turn it right side out, and I like to turn it, so when I hang on to it, instead of hanging on to it just with the one piece of fabric and then everything else on the other side, I like to put the mesh on the one side with the fabric just so that it's a little bit stronger when I'm turning it, because it can get kind of tight. Oh, and I made the opening a little too small. But
that's why we love our seam ripper, right?
Yes.
Look at you, Yuko. You've got that. Also, that white little tool is called a point turner.
Point turner. Awesome. I know they have them on their website. So you're just going to take it and push out the corners. Make sure everything is nice and crisp. I don't know if that's really the right word to use, but that's the one I always end up thinking of to describe it. So
Sounds good to me.
okay, so now you have it. This is what your sponge is looking like so far with this opening. And I am going to now make sure that these parts are folded in, and then I'm going to sew that down. You can sew it on your machine. I prefer the hand sewn look because it then matches the rest of the seams around, but you do whatever you want to do. I am going to hand sew mine down.
I would love to see a close-up of you hand sewing because this is something I need to practice on.
Awesome.
I can't
Let's
wait
do
to see
it.
what you're doing.
Okay. Okay, so I take my thread and my needle and I thread it through so that I have 2 strands on the needle, and then I tie a knot in the bottom. There we go. So that it's just a little bit stronger. Trim off the excess just a little bit. Okay. Is there, Brian, do you know if there's a way to turn my camera around? Nope, that's not it. So that I'm using the front facing camera.
Yeah, if you go to settings, there's a camera button and you can select which camera you're wanting.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
They're handy
There we
dandy.
go. Okay. This is going to be so much better. Okay. I can see it a little better. Okay. Sorry, guys. Make you all seasick. Okay. So I take, well, let me clip it down first so that everything stays where it needs to be. I like to use these little sewing clips for thicker things like this. I think it just keeps things in place a little bit nicer. So I usually put like 3 clips on there, but you can do whatever
we're
you
big
want.
fans of blender clips.
Yep, they are awesome. Okay, let me move this stuff out of the way so it's not so distracting. Okay, so I take my needle and I just grab a little bit here on the end, if you can see that. I just stick it through a little bit and then pull it through, but not all the way. I stick my needle back through the loop there to create kind of a slip knot to keep it knotted down and so it doesn't come out. And then it's really easy. I just take a little bit from this side and a little bit from that side and a little bit from this side and just pull it tight. And you want to make sure that you are getting both sides of the fabric. So this side and this side. Go ahead.
Do you know what that stitch is called?
I have heard it called I believe it's a mattress stitch or an invisible stitch or a ladder stitch. I think it has a lot of different names. I think the most common one I've heard is invisible stitch or ladder stitch.
Okay. Yeah. I've got to up my hand sewing game.
This is all the hand sewing I do. I like to just use my machine if I can, but for this type of thing, I like to have it hand sewn, but that's just my personal preference. So see if I can get a little bit closer for you guys. Just grab a little bit here and then come and grab a little bit there. And I don't go all the way through here. I try and keep it up on the top fold so that it's nice and hidden. And I pull it tight, and then I pull it out just a little bit so that I know it's tight in there, but it's not scrunching it up. And if you want to, you can go back through again. If you don't feel like it got super tight, you can go back in and like fill in. I do that sometimes. It just depends on how it's looking. This is looking okay, so I'm just going to tie it off. And I just grab a little bit of fabric here on this side and pull, not all the way through, but then I have a little loop there, and I stick my needle through it. And then I like to do it 2 times just to kind of double knot it, and I pull it tight. And then to hide that thread, I just poke it down in and then push my needle out. And then I pull it tight and trim it. And then it will hide that thread, other than this one. Trim that one off. Hide that thread from your hand sewing down inside of it. So this is what it looks like now. This is the hand sewn part. And then we are just going to top stitch around the edge here. And you can do as wide as you want, as close to the edge as you want. I like to move my needle all the way over to the left position, and then line this edge of my fabric up with my presser foot edge so that I get whatever seam allowance that would be. I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's just the look I like. So let's do that. This is so much better. I'm so glad you guys told me about the camera options. Okay, so I move my needle over, and if you want the number, I just move it to the 0.0, and it just moves it all the way over to this side, and then I line the edge of my fabric up with this side of my presser foot. So okay. And I like to start kind of in the middle rather than at an edge, but that's just me. And then I back stitch, oh, gotta put the presser foot down. Then I back stitch, just go forward and back, and then I just go to the corner, and I don't go all the way off. I leave it about right there, and then I lift my needle up with my presser foot still down, and I pivot. Oh, that's a little, do another stitch or 2. There we go. Okay, that lines up a little better. And then just keep going. Same thing, lift up your presser foot, but leave your needle down, and it's not quite as close, but and then once I get to where I started, I just back stitch again a little bit to kind of secure it. And there you go. Just trim off the little threads. And there you have it. And these are really great. I love the little bit of scrubby. I use these every day in my own kitchen because they just work so well. And then when they get stinky or dirty, I just throw them in the washer with the rest of my clothes and laundry and wash it with light colors. And then I just throw it in the dryer and tumble dry it just like normal. I'm not fancy, so I don't do anything special to them. I just throw them in the washer, and they are good to go and ready to be used again. So let me turn my camera back around, and if anyone has any questions, we can answer them.
Wonderful. I love that project. That is such a fun. Uh-oh, I need more coffee. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's grab you some questions. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right, we've got, why do you use the Wrap-N Zap batting and not just regular batting?
You can do either. One thing that I was thinking is really nice about the Wrap-N Zap is if you wanted to put it in the microwave to like kill any bacteria, it's safe to do that as well. Because I did get questions before, because I have used both and both work just as well. But this is good if you wanted to try and like disinfect it a little bit in the microwave.
Nice. We also have, can we get the mesh from SPO?
Yes. They have lots of different colors. Like this,
yes.
I don't know if you can see that well. This is just a list of all the colors for this light mesh fabric from by
And
Annie's.
giveaway. Somebody's going to get some mesh, so they'll be able to make their own.
Yes.
Awesome. I had a couple of questions here for you. Are you still doing craft fairs?
I am. I was doing them twice a year, but April just got to be too much. So I do them in October now, and I just do it once a year and mostly just for fun. But
so what do you usually bring to your craft fairs? I know you've done the kitchen sponges. What else do you like to make?
I took my beeswax wraps last October, and those did pretty good. I take my key fob wristlets. I take hand warmers. I make rope coasters and like hot pads or trivets. And I've taken those. What else? My mom and I made a bunch of baby bibs a couple years ago. And so I just take those because they've been sitting in the drawer, and those sell pretty good too.
So your mom sews as well?
Yeah, she's who I learned from.
Oh, that's awesome. And that was my other question. Are you still teaching?
Yes, I am. I teach. I'm going to have 4 students this summer. So.
Oh, that's so cool. How did you get into doing that?
I had a couple of friends who said, "Hey, I want you to teach my kids sewing lessons. I want you to teach them how to sew." And I was like, I don't know if I'm like good enough to teach them how to sew. And then I kept getting asked by a bunch of other people, and I was like, okay, this is my sign. I will do it. And so it's been really fun.
That's awesome. I love that you took that on. I had a lady from our homeschool group. She taught me how to make a table runner. And it was the first thing I had ever quilted. And I'm like, can you please teach me how to quilt? Because I had a couple other people teach me how to do some garment sewing, but I'd never quilted. So she's like, okay. So I still have my rotary mat and my rotary cutter from the first time I made my table runner. So it's just cool when somebody will take that on and teach their skills to somebody else. So that's very, very awesome. But can you remind everybody where they can find you, Kelsey?
Yes, I am on TikTok and I am on YouTube. And I also have an Instagram. I am the best at posting on TikTok because that's just where my mind thinks to post. But it is Kelsey Crafts on all of them. So
perfect. And we're also happy to announce that Kelsey is a Sewing Parts Online ambassador. So you're going to be seeing more of her.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting. Do we want to go ahead and pick the winner of the mesh fabric, the $30 gift card, and your fun beeswax wraps and your kitchen sponges? So lucky winner, let's go ahead and do our drawing.